All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another live stream, and the very first live stream here on both LinkedIn Live and YouTube. So the primary purpose of today's live stream, honestly, is just to make sure that all my technology is working. So we will be talking about a little bit of stuff. So if you keep seeing me look at over here, I've got my iPad, going right now. So I just want to make sure that everything is running correctly. So I still haven't figured out if you can do live chats on LinkedIn to see if I can answer questions live. I know I can do it on YouTube, so that may be something that I have to work out in post. But it appears that everything is working fine. I just checked YouTube and I just checked LinkedIn. Everything is fine. So welcome. Thank you all for coming. I hope that you can all hear me okay. In fact, let me just do one more quick audio check here. Okay, so apologies for the delay here again. So this is my very first time streaming to both LinkedIn Live and YouTube at the same time. So this is you're seeing how everything's done live. So yeah, I hope you all are having a great Sunday so far as I continue to try to get this working. You're seeing how everything's done live. Okay, very good. All right. So, since this may be for one of the very first time anybody's seen me now that I'm streaming on LinkedIn, I thought I'd go ahead and reset a little bit on who I am and what we do with these live stream series. So, my name is David Hundley. I am a senior machine learning engineer at State Farm. Though I do work for State Farm and I love working for State Farm. In fact, come work with me, statefarm.com/careers. Everything that I do in these streams does not have to do with State Farm. Everything that I'm going to do here is really more for learning purposes, specifically in the data science and machine learning realm. So you're aware, as a machine learning engineer, because that can kind of be a nebulous title, and so you can understand what my expertise is in. Because it's loosely defined across all different industries. A machine learning engineer, at least in my context, is we partner with our data scientists, where the data scientists are the ones that are actually creating predictive models that help support the business in some sort of capacity. And then whenever it comes time to actually package and produce a model to be used in a production system, that's where my role steps in. So as the machine learning engineer, I'm usually taking those serialized models and wrapping them in some sort of Docker container and then deploying them out to some sort of platform, whether that be AWS with SageMaker specifically, or like a Kubernetes-like platform. I've been doing these streams now for a couple of months. We've been doing a couple personal projects of mine because no better way to learn, I think, than getting your hands dirty with a personal project. And so the two personal projects that we've been working on today is one just with the general Titanic data set. So the Titanic being, in case you're not familiar, so Titanic is a very popular data set over on Kaggle.com that people like to use for learning purposes. And it is, yes, that same Titanic of the Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet movie fame. So it is basically this data set that contains all of the people that were on the Titanic at the time and whether they survived or not. So people use this as a means for binary classification, learning binary classification, because you that target value of the survived, did not survive or did survive. And more recently, I have started doing a project that is totally from the ground up, no data at all. I've had to curate my own data, and that is our movie ratings model project, and that is the one that we're going to be covering today a little bit. So to give a recap on what that is, and actually I'm wearing the T-shirt to support it. So I like to listen to this silly podcast called The Water Cooler. It's a group of 5 guys, coworkers who all work together, and then at the end of the day each week they will get together and talk about their weeks and then random other things, and they have recurring bits. And one of those recurring bits is one of the hosts, his name is Kalen Bean. Actually, Kalen is the son of actor Michael Bean of Terminator fame. And Kalen will rate movies, and not just movies, lots of other things. So, and he'll give 2 different ratings for his movies. He'll give like a binary yes or no approval kind of rating, and then he'll give what he calls his Bean scale rating, and that is the 0 to 10 rating. So it's a single point decimal. So, for example, it could be like 6.2, 7.1. It never goes beyond that. It never goes beyond like 8.325 or anything like that. And so, yeah, I thought it'd be fun to create a model based off of what he's done. And so, yeah, and that's where, a couple weeks ago where we had left off was we had just finished feature engineering. And Actually, let's go ahead and walk through this from start to finish. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Hope you all can see this just fine. All right. So you're looking at my Jupyter interface. Oh, in case you're all wondering how I work with my own personal tools, I've done a couple live streams on this before, but just to give a quick recap, I actually don't own a laptop anymore. And the reason for that is, so over here I got my hand on top of a Mac Mini. So this is the newest Mac Mini with the M1 Apple Silicon chip. And I've written a couple blog posts about how I feel about this Apple Silicon chip. Short answer, I like it, but it's got some ways to go as far as compatibility with our data science machine learning software. And then so that's what I'm streaming on right now. But when I like to go out to like a coffee shop, or even just when I'm charging my car, or like tomorrow I got to take my daughter to like a music class, I actually like to do all my work on an iPad. And I've done a whole live stream on how I do work, my data science work on an iPad. Basically, it's a combination of a couple. It's a combination of a couple different apps that I use. But I actually basically use my Mac Mini over here as a always-on server. And so, and the only reason for that is because the iPad itself is limited in what it can and can't do. And so, in order to get around that, I basically more or less SSH into my own Mac Mini as its own server, and then I do my work from there. All right, so that's a little bit about that. All right, so I do have all of the work for our movie ratings model project over here on GitHub. It's been a couple weeks. You can even see, like, it's been 22 days since I've last worked on this. And so if you recall, for those of you who did watch that last live stream on that, I stopped that live stream because I just was not feeling good. It was I was getting the onset of a cold. Unfortunately, I was able to squash that really quick. But basically, like if you go back and watch that live stream, you could tell I'm dragging really hard through that one. So that's what part of the purpose of this project is I didn't get to really finish that live stream. But yeah, so we can. But we'll go ahead and do it like a start to finish, back to front on what we've done so far. So this is my README here. We got to take a quick step here. So, by the way, I usually like to have like a big fountain drink with me. I did a treadmill run right before this, and I just didn't time things out well. Like, I had just enough time to finish the run and take a shower and then come to the stream. I thought I was going to have enough time to go up to the gas station, but I don't. So I just grabbed something from my little baby fridge back there. This is Coke Zero, the new formula. Big fan. Okay. All right, so I give a background on everything. So this is actually a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of background here, because this is a comedy podcast, so I thought I'd try to write it funnily. So Kalen actually doesn't rate just movies. He actually rates a lot of other random things. Of course, a lot of TV shows as well, but I'm not. He doesn't rate enough for me to actually create a model around the TV shows. But he'll rate things like grass, like grass in the backyard kind of grass. So he gave that an 8.9. The word facetious here. And as a joke, he actually rated his own daughter as after they were born a 9.0. Of course, that's a joke. But I like to put in here, that's right, folks, the word facetious edged out his own daughter. So I've also been writing blog posts associated to this project. So even, so by the way, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, I don't think that LinkedIn archives these streams at all. I'll have to figure that out. But I do know that YouTube does. So that's why I wanted to do the simultaneous stream. Is even if the stream here isn't working, or even if this does work on LinkedIn, I'm a little distracted. Sorry, because I was trying to make sure that my settings are still working just fine. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so you can go back on YouTube and watch any of these streams archived, and I really don't edit those at all or anything. But if you wanted to look at something in a more like pared down capacity, then I am writing these blog posts that are going out toward data science. So thank you to the good folks at toward data science for allowing me to publish out there. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Those folks are super nice. And so you can actually see that the very first blog post I wrote out here was actually just how I got the data. And so let's talk about that first, because this is an interesting project. Most times when you like work on a learning project, so like the Titanic data set, they give you everything you need right off the bat. So they give you actually, let's just go look at it. So if I go over here to Kaggle Titanic, And then, so this is where I actually get the Titanic data set from. Okay, then you can see here, so literally all you do is you download these CSV files over here, and then inside the CSV files is the respective kinds of things. So as a reminder, if you're just now joining, I have not figured out yet if LinkedIn does have the ability to do a live chat feature. So if people are asking questions over there, I have no way of knowing how that works. But if you would like to ask any questions live, you can go over to YouTube and ask those over there. Okay. So back to the Kaggle data set here. So if you look inside here, they actually contain a data dictionary of everything that they supply us for you. So this is great. But the one problem with a real data science effort like that most people will work on in a real basis is you're not handed this data on a silver platter. You might have the data somewhere. Like let's say you work for I don't know, Amazon, and I'm sure Amazon is capturing a bunch of data about what people are selling on their store or what people are buying. So if you wanted to create a data science model from that, then you would just go into whatever databases those are. But even so, they're not going to be as pared down as this. In fact, most models most predictive models are going to have more features than this. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 features. I thought there were more than that. But anyway, you're not. And I personally don't even use all of these. Ticket number, I do not use at all. And yeah, so whenever it comes to starting a project from scratch like this, my movie ratings project, that is, we needed to get the data from zero. And so, let me talk through a little bit of that, what we did with that here now. So the very first thing is I actually just need to get Kaylin's ratings. And in order to get Kaylin's ratings, that was just me. So I have a Google spreadsheets here that I actually went back through and listened to the water cooler back catalog to get all these movie ratings. And so you can see that I only need the movie things, but just for Kaylin's own benefit and for the fun of the guys on that podcast, I captured everything in here. And so you can see that, we got in the movie Swingers here, got a 7 out of 10. And that it was yes recommended, and the episode number, and then a couple of other notes. And so basically I'm capturing all of this in a Google spreadsheet, and so that's the actual, what we call the ground truth predictor. And so actually at the end of this project, I'm going to end up creating two different models. One's going to be a regression model that's going to be able to predict this, the bean scale rating, the decimal-based rating here, and then the other one's going to be the binary classification of the recommendation, yes or no. Okay, so that's just getting the ratings from Kaylin themselves. Now I have programmatically figured out a way of how to extract this into using this within pandas. So in case you are not familiar, and so by the way, I've toyed back and forth in between, should I try making these streams more of beginner friendly, or if I should make them more advanced. And I think I'm going to toggle back and forth. For now, I think I am going to do just more user friendly kind of things. And I'm distracted again for another quick second because I don't think I'm even on the right thing here as far as I'm going to do just more user. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to make sure that I have the chat going here correctly. So I'm using this platform called Restream right now, and I'm just testing it out. I don't know if I'm going to use it moving forward. I'm just doing a trial basis of it right now. And the nice thing about Restream is that you can just upload to one website basically, and then it diverts over to LinkedIn and then YouTube respectively at the same time, which saves me bandwidth because I don't really have the best internet in the world here. Okay, so anyway, so as far as actually getting data, so extracting the data from this spreadsheet here. So within the notebooks here, you can see that I have my notebook that I call data gathering. And so this notebook here, and we'll see if it loads properly. Okay, so this notebook here is not what I wanted. Okay, nope, we'll get to that one though. The load from Google Spreadsheets. Okay, that one makes more sense. All right, let this load for a second while I take a sip. Okay, it's been several months since I've done this, so I don't remember exactly how I did this, but basically what you did, I found online somewhere, is that I had to find the proper Google Sheet ID that represents this sheet over here, and I don't remember how I got that. And so that's what the sheet ID is here. This is basically pointing to, okay, that is the same spreadsheet that we showed over here in Google Sheets. And then I wrote a little function here that basically says, okay, I want to put this sheet ID inside of this this little function, like right here, and then I'm doing a pandas read directly. And it kind of surprised me that that worked, because I honestly don't know why that worked directly like that. Because I thought the pandas CSV or read CSV had to read directly from a CSV file, but apparently not. And I don't know how this is necessarily calling out, but it works. And so what basically, oh, and one thing I didn't mention here, so within the spreadsheet, I actually have 3 different tabs here at the very bottom. So they actually have a couple different feeds. They have the main feed, the podcast feed that anybody can go and listen to for free. They also have a Patreon feed. And then they also have another special tier for Patreon users called the Movie Night feed, and that's where they watch movies so they watch movies and they provide their commentary live and for people to listen to. So yeah, you can't. You might be thinking you actually pay for this stuff. It's a really lighthearted podcast, which is why I like it. I listen to a lot of really heavy, like philosophical, spiritual kind of podcasts, and I love, as much as I love those, like, I need a break, and so like this is always like a kind of a breath of fresh air because it is so like silly and does not take itself seriously. Okay, so after creating this function, basically what I do is I load from each sheet by passing in the sheet ID and then like which specific sheet I want. Then I concatenate all those together, and you can see that I extract, doing a pandas data frame.head. You can see that I get all these movies appropriately. Now, of course, I don't need anything but the movies. So what I do is I filter down on category, and then I drop anything that I don't need anymore. So at the end of the day, the only things that I really need are these couple little files here. And I don't know why I was starting to do some stuff in here. But yeah, this is actually, let's go ahead and jump into this thing here. So this is probably going to look familiar to most of you who are familiar with data science. So this is Jupyter. And so kind of like I was saying, when I do my work off my iPad, I actually have a Jupyter server persistently running on my my Mac Mini at all times. Actually, is this Jupyter Hub? I actually think this is a lightweight version of Jupyter Hub. And so in case you're not familiar with what Jupyter Hub is a way for basically to have a Jupyter interface. And I actually personally like this interface better than like the Jupyter Lab interface. That's just a personal preference. But it allows people if I had friends come over to my house, we could all collaborate together off of my same one Jupyter Hub interface that's being served off of my Mac Mini right here. And so I don't actually, it's not like I invite friends over to actually do that because I just don't. Because that'd be kind of, hey, you guys want to have a data science party? Except I have a weird idea of what fun is. So I'm sure, I would personally get a kick out of that. But anyway, the reason I have that is because I have a specific app here on my iPad called Juno Connect. And Juno Connect here is actually works as a server that will connect directly to my Mac Mini, and so you can't see it right now because the white screen somehow messing with the video. But anyway, basically, whenever I do my Jupyter work, I am doing it right off my Mac Mini from anywhere in the world, as long as I have an internet connection. So I actually was in Chicago last week, and of course my Mac Mini is here in Bloomington, and I did all of my work from Chicago off my iPad with my Mac Mini here in Bloomington. So very cool. All right, so this is, all right, let's go ahead and jump into here. And I want to clean some of this stuff up. So this is what I was talking about. So cleanup number 1. I don't know why I have this here at the very bottom because I don't need that here, and you'll see what that was here in a second. So I'm going to cut that cell out. I'm going to save this, get out of here. All right, boom. That was easy. All right, so that was just getting the data for the project itself. Okay, let me take a quick sip real quick. Now, for the actual features that we're going to be building across all our different for our project here, I actually used a number of different APIs and APIs with different Python libraries. So that is what this data gathering notebook here is. And so did I write a blog post on this? I think I did write a full blog post on this. But basically what it's doing here is I'm using a number of different Python libraries. So you'll see that I'm actually pulling from 4 different sources. I'm pulling from TMDB, which is this website called the Movies Database, IMDb, of course, of the infamous Internet Movies Database, and then another one called OMDB, and I think that one's called Open Movie Database, and they're all giving me different sorts of data. By far, TMDB is giving me the most. And so if you scroll on down, so some of these have API keys associated to them. And so the way I was able to use the API keys without exposing them to anybody is I go ahead and store them in this keys.yaml file. And so this isn't the best pattern. In fact, one thing that I do want to do in the future is show you how to set up Vault. So Vault is a product offered by the company called HashiCorp, and it is designed specifically for like credential management and things like that. But anyway, to keep things simple for now, I just put this in a file called keys.yaml, and I actually have my git ignore file making sure that those keys aren't pushed up to the GitHub. So actually, if you go up into GitHub here and you try to look for my keys, you will not find them. And that is because the git ignore tells it not to look at them. So I think I put it at the very, very bottom here. Yep, you can see right here. Excuse me. So I'm basically just saying in my keys directory, don't upload those to GitHub. But if I were to, and I'm purposely not gonna look anymore here, but you can actually see here up in my my Git repo locally that I do have a keys directory, and then inside here is a keys.yaml file. So better toggle that closed because I don't really want to expose that. All right, so back to our actual notebook here. So just to keep things like doing testing purposes, and I really like Jupyter Notebooks because they have this fantastic markdown feature, so you can basically add notes and do your code in the same interface. So you can see here that I'm talking about data source number 1, and then everything that we had to do to get like the TMDB key, API key, and then the installation things, and then this is where we actually start to go and test things out appropriately here. And so this is where I was saying I don't know why this was in that other notebook here. So I also was doing a number of different tests just using a single movie. So I like the movie The Matrix. Really looking forward to the new Matrix movie coming out next month. So that's basically what this code is showing here. Is we were using we were doing a query with the Matrix to get the ID of the movie here, and then once we got the ID of the movie, then we were able to appropriately extract out the data that we needed for the movie. So you can see here the data that we ended up extracting out was budget, so that's budget in dollars. So what is that? 1230. So it looks like $63 million. And then I don't remember what popularity is. That I had to go back and relook at that. Revenue, runtime, vote average, vote count, and then the other good things. And so basically that's what I did for all 4 of these sources here. And so this is a pretty clean notebook as it stands. So one thing that I have not done yet is, so as great as Jupyter Notebooks are for doing experimental kind of work or any other kind of exploratory data analysis. I always screw up that phrase. Kind of work. We actually do need to get all of this out of here and into different actual Python scripts that we would use here. So you can see that I started to do that here for just extracting the data from Sorry, I was confused of why I added this comment. I may have added this comment because I was testing things out on how I use my iPad in a previous stream, and I may have done that way. But anyway, so I do need to create a number of different Python files that are actually going to do this data gathering for me. And I actually wanted to refactor this in such a way that, because right now this runs every single time, it looks through every single one of these things. And so the problem with that is that the APIs can be a little bit slow, and I actually think if I were to run this whole notebook right now, start to finish, it would take 10 minutes, which isn't that bad. But when you consider, I only have, how many movies do I have of Kaylin's? Not that many. I think it's just about 122. And so, as you might know, in the data science world, we usually have tens of thousands, if not millions, if not billions of rows that we train models against. So this is, honestly, I'm not expecting great results from this model. This is just more of a fun project than anything. It's a good way to help me to hone my skills. So Oh, yeah, that was one thing I kind of deviated from earlier. So I was talking about my own role as a machine learning engineer. So I actually don't create predictive models as part of my day-to-day job, but that's where I wanted to kind of brush up on my own like pure data scientist, create a predictive model science kind of skills with these live streams here with like these things like this project. Okay, so we did TMDB, we did OMDB, IMDB, and then finally we did Rotten Tomatoes at the very bottom, and then looks like I had screwed something up in here. Oh yeah, that's right. I had not finished this quite yet, and I don't know if you can hear this in my sinuses right now, but I don't know much longer I'm gonna be able to do the stream, because the more I keep talking, the more like I just keep getting congested. And so actually, I had to take off for work this past Friday because my youngest daughter got some sort of sickness and kept us up all night. And I hope I am not getting sick again. Ugh, that would be awful. Yeah, ever since COVID's come around, and like now that people are starting to get back out, it feels like people are just getting sick with other things, not COVID, just a lot more easily. So like my daughters have gotten strep twice, I think, in the last 3 months. It's unfortunate, and I'm even noticing it myself now a little bit, since I've not had that much, interaction with people. Okay, so I did not finish this, and I did notice that there were. We might have to come back to this notebook because I know there was something else that was messed up. So basically, that was just a quick review of what I wanted to do there, and then finally, the other place that we got to, and I actually don't think we did anything with exploratory data analysis. Yeah, I'll go ahead and delete this notebook, and the reason that we didn't necessarily is because we actually did it. At the same time that we did the feature engineering notebook. And so you can see I've not cleaned this up at all. That's why I usually like to put comments and stuff, and you can see there's no comments in here quite yet. So there was something messed up in here, and I can't remember what it was. It was one of these last things that was messed up, and I'll scroll back up to the top here in a little bit to show like what we were doing. What got messed up? One of these fields was basically like. There we go. The movie age here was getting messed up, and I think that, because the year here, I don't know what I did by accident. I accidentally have the year being pasted as 1997 for everything. So let's actually go and fix that first, because right now what this is basically doing is saying year is movie age, current year minus year released. Where did I get the current year from? Oh, yeah, I was doing the date time now. Duh. Okay, yeah. So that makes sense. But how did I mess this up? So where did I get year from? So I'll have to go back in here, and let's go up and open our data gathering project. And so actually, let me take a quick little break to make sure that my technology again is working here just fine. I did notice that it appears that like Restream created like its own little dealio kind of thing, and so I don't actually know if anything here is appropriately being shown. Okay, I think it's fine. I just don't know if LinkedIn has a live chat feature, which is nice on YouTube because every once in a while people will ask questions live, and I'm more than happy to answer questions. Or even honestly, if this stream ends and you got a question after the fact, don't hesitate to message me. I am my social handle everywhere is DK Hundley. Fortunately, I got it on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. Okay, so let's get back to here. All right, so where did I get the year from? And that will actually let's just do Control F. Control F for a year. All right, so df all data equals adding the movie data debuted. Okay, so it looks like I had IMDb details, year. Okay, something is messed up in here. All right, so for index row and df iter rows, movie name equals movie name. All right, so we're getting the IMDb details, but why is it always surfacing just 1997? And that's what I should have looked at here. Is it? Yeah, so it is. Something's messed up in here. And is it that, okay, so I do a search on the movie, so I'm going to do the IMDb details. I don't see, or maybe I did correct this and I just didn't rerun it again appropriately. I don't know. So let's do Oh, so that's what I was talking about, is because I am running this all the time, I want to refactor this to where it'll do a delta instead, meaning that it will only get data for movies it has not seen before. So let's just do a restart and clear all output. So I am going to go ahead and run these first couple cells. Let's make sure they run okay. Okay, so it looks like so far so good. All right, so we're going to instantiate these objects. All right, so far so good. Everything is outputting appropriately. All right, so I just want to ensure it here. All right, do we have year in here? Do I not have year? Year? Or where was I getting that from? Or was I getting that from IMDb? Maybe I was getting that from IMDb. Yeah, I was getting that from IMDb. My bad. All right, so let's just go ahead and keep running through these. Okay, let's go ahead and run these couple cells here. All right. I'm going to need to take another sip here. And again, so this is not the best way of doing work. Jupyter Notebooks are great for, of course, our preliminary sort of work, but whenever we actually do want to get all this stuff appropriately, like automated, we want to put it in a Python script like this. And so actually, I might go ahead and start doing that. Let me go ahead and write a new file called. I don't know why I called that get raw data. I'm going to call... I'm trying to think of the best way that I want to put this, because... So another thing, just to give a foreshadowing in the future, right now we're just building the models, but I actually do want to deploy these out onto some sort of appropriate platform. And I know I'm going to do SageMaker. I've toyed with the idea of doing Google Cloud Platform as well. And that's why I want to make sure that these are in a format appropriate to... like SageMaker being able to making use of these appropriately. So I am going to maybe call this, what do I want to call this? Data extract, no, get data. Because basically I think I'm just going to turn these into like helper functions basically. What do I want to call this? Get raw data. I do like get raw data, but I think this is not fair for what I've done here. Okay, well, I'll think about it a little bit more. Let's see did this run appropriately. I think it did. All right, so let's go to IMDb. All right, so IMDb, get details. All right, so I got more details than that for IMDb, I thought, didn't I? So this is where, I need to clean up some of the stuff. All right, so new matrix, or actually, let's just go ahead and paste out the IMDb details. All right. All right, so you can see in here that it's got a lot of different things. Oh, that's because... well, what about year? Year? Oops. 1999. Okay, so that is right. So I don't know why it didn't... It got messed up down here. All right, well, let's go ahead and just do like a print on here. Well, because I am all right, so I'm doing the IMDb details appropriately here. I'm transforming that into a dictionary. Let's just do a print, because to ensure that this is printing out appropriately. And wow, I am just feeling weirdly congested, and maybe it's because I'm doing a lot of talking and I haven't done a lot of talking today. We'll see. So you can see that. All right, so far so good. Is it just that I'm not appending it appropriately? And so you can see this is actually pretty appropriate because the podcast started back in 2015, I think. And so you can see that Kalen usually rates movies that he's seen most recently. And so this is what I'm talking about, that it takes kind of a while. So you could see that most of these are going to, it would not surprise me if you'll start to see 2016 and then more 2017s in here soon. 2021. So that is one thing that I did fail to mention is, so one thing that we're just kind of going to have to accept as like a, or at least I'm personally accepting as a not great kind of thing, is when we do a query search for something like the matrix, you're not always guaranteed to get the matrix as like the first result. In fact, so like, obviously the matrix has a couple sequels. When I do a query search for the matrix, I'm just assuming that the first one is correct, but they're not always going to be correct. So in this case, I actually think the Matrix is correct, but I'm pretty sure the movie Pet Sematary was not correct. And I actually did find out that there is a way to make that better, and I might actually go ahead and explore that. But, well, I don't know if I care that much, honestly, because that, I mean, you should care for a real project, honestly. Like, if I was creating a movie for a real company here, or a movie rating model for a real company here, you would want to make sure that your data was 100% correct. And the only reason I don't really care is because this is just a toy model that I'm just doing for this podcast. Like, so these water cooler guys do know that I am creating this model. I've talked to them about it, and like they think it's funny. But like, yeah, like it's not really going to be good for anything else otherwise. So I'm going to be really curious because I'm printing this out. Oh, I know what the issue is. I know what the issue is. All right, let's stop this. All right. So the issue is so you can see here that what I actually meant to do was overwrite just like one entry. And so what this is basically doing is saying, okay, I want the year to be for everything to be that. So the way I need to refactor this. All right. Yep. Dumb mistake on my part is I just need to say .loc. All right. So and then I'm going to pass in the index and then the year. And then the IMDb details here. All right, so let's go ahead and try running the cell again. And this might take a few minutes, but yeah, okay. Yep, that makes sense. My bad. But I'm glad, this is why we work out our stuff. We work out our stuff to make sure. And, I probably should be writing things like unit tests also. But again, I probably won't just because I'm I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to at least this, because this is not a real project. And writing unit tests, although important and then very it's extremely important. Like I actually do this at work very, very frequently because you want to make sure that your evidence of test and everything is appropriate for whenever you actually deploy something to production. But again, this is not a real. This is not a real model. This is just a toy model. So this will take a minute or two for it to run. I don't know why, but I found that the IMDb pipeline is the one that takes the longest by far. So do I want to go ahead and... I'm still just toying, like how do I want to necessarily refactor this in such a way that is most appropriate? Because I don't know why I just created a function called load raw. Because I actually, I'm going to I'm going to change the name of this for now. Because I like to keep things super organized and clean. So trying to toss everything in one Python file is not very clean. So I like to write functions and stuff that help support everything. So I actually think I'm going to create a new folder or a new directory under this called data engineering. All right, and then so for now I'm going to place this guy underneath here, and then I'm going to create a new file in here called what do I want to call this? Because so actually, just a quick preview of how SageMaker works. So if you want to use SageMaker and what they call the bring your own container pattern, which is what I'm going to be using, they expect you to have specific shell scripts basically that you can run your container with. So let's say you wanted to run a training job, you basically would have to have underneath this container directory here. I would have to, and let me go ahead and create it. I have to have a file just called train not trainer, just train. And I'm going to go ahead and add that. And nothing else. And so actually this train file needs to be an executable file, so I'll go ahead and change that appropriately in here. So in my terminal, my ZSH is going to decided to update right now. Okay, clear that out. You probably, oh my gosh. Oh, can you still see? Okay. All right, I do that at least once a stream. Okay, so basically what that is I use this Apple keyboard here because I'm using this with my Mac Mini, and I don't know if you can see this. Right above the delete key is the lock key, and if you watch my streams at all, you all know I'll hit that lock key at least once a stream when I'm trying to delete something. Silly. Okay, all right, so I want to go and... well, since you can't really see that behind my logo here, let me go over here and just to my standard terminal iTerm. All right, so we'll go into remind me later. We'll do that later. All right, repos, ls. All right, cd into the movie ratings model. All right, ls cd container. right, clear. All right, so chmod plus x train. All right. Why did that not work? Chmod 755 train ls. Okay, the reason I know it didn't work is because I have syntax highlighting here in my terminal that lets me know like if something's an executable file. So I actually do need a train, and actually, so for SageMaker you also need 2 more files. You need well, actually, you need 1, and then you need a 3rd in case you want to do something else. But that 3rd one can be whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call this one. Well, I need the one for the serve. So I'm going to call the. Oh my gosh, why can I not remember what this command is? It's not make dir. Make dir is it's not create. Why can I not remember what this command is right now? This is kind of embarrassing. It's the command that you use to create any standard new file that you want to. Sorry. Touch. There we go. Why could I not remember that? Serve. Touch. And I'm going to call this data. Well, we'll just call it data engineering. Why not? Data engineering. All right, and I'm going to change those. chmod 755 serve. chmod 755 data engineering. Okay. All right, so if I come back into, so by the way, I am using IntelliJ Community Edition on my local computer here. You can use whatever code editor you want. I know a lot of people like VS Code. I did used to use Atom before. And actually, so the primary, this is going to sound so, what's the word? Just like silly. But the reason I used Atom for the longest time is because I really liked the colors. So in case you're not aware, like whenever, like, so let's just look here. Like whenever I do my blog post, and you'll wonder like, how are these graphics created? I create them. I actually do graphic design on myself on the side, and so I have a knack, or not a knack, but an inclination toward like aesthetic things looking aesthetically nice. And so when I found out that IntelliJ could basically had a skin that would make it the colors look like Atom. So these are the Atom colors. In fact, I think this is called the one dark theme. Let's look in here. Appearance and map behavior. So yeah, you can see this is called the one dark theme, and this is the Atom logo here. As soon as I figured it out, I was like, all right, see ya, Atom. I'm gonna go to IntelliJ now. And and the other reason is I use IntelliJ at work. All right, so how come ls, how come? Oh, I probably shouldn't have named it data engineering. Okay, so let me think. Well, we'll just call it touch pre-process. All right, and then chmod 755 pre-process. Okay, ls. All right, so there we go. We've got our 3 files here. And so you'll notice that there is actually no extension on these files, and that is intentional. And that is just because, in fact, associate with file type, what was I associating these file types as? But yeah, like these are basically going to be like bash scripts, basically, and you're not supposed to have an extension on the end of them, which can be really confusing. So I'm going to have my Python files actually in here. I'm going to rename this one now. Then I'm going to refactor this to be called get Google Sheets data. I'm going to call that get Google Sheets data. All right, so let's, the reason we kind of stalled there is because we were waiting for this to finish. And so this should be good to go now. So let's scroll on down. All right, so let's look at the head here. All right, and now the year should be fixed. And boom, there we go. I don't know if you can see that around my head there. There we go. Year is finally fixed. All right, let's go ahead and run the rest of these cells then. And again, I need to refactor this to where this is like a delta kind of pull and not getting the data all the time, every time. But I guess I was going to have to rerun all this anyway because I screwed up that year anyway. And I actually did not finish this last part here because I really wanted the Rotten Tomatoes audience score. Just because I feel like the audience score might be highly correlative toward what Kalen gives his ratings, and I just had not finished that yet. And so Part of me wants to finish it live, but part of me also doesn't want you to have to watch me like bumble through this, especially because like, you know, oh, we've already been going for 45 minutes, so I might wrap up here anyway. I try not to go longer than an hour. I usually go an hour to an hour and a half, but you know, at least this was a nice recap, and I might go ahead and, so basically what my goal for this stream here was to get all these things into Python files, but clearly that's not going to happen. So I'm going to create a new file called get raw API data.py. Okay, and so what I'm going to do in here is, this is not what I wanted to do. All right, so I'm going to have to go back to that feature engineering notebook anyway. But basically what I want to do is start extracting the information from this notebook into this Python file over here. So of course, we're going to need all of these guys here. We're going to do the importing libraries that we need. All right, importing the necessary Python libraries. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Hopefully that's a little bit more readable for y'all. I'll go ahead and collapse this down here. Make this a little bit smaller as well. Okay, so that's all my stuff there. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna need to do is, so actually the way I like to organize my projects is I will create like what I call pseudo headings. And the way I do that is I will do like a double asterisk here, and then I'll do something like, I'll call this project setup. And then I will do another double asterisk, and then a big set of lines with dashes here. Again, just a personal preference. You'll find that in my own coding that I like to heavily annotate my code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, well, I'm trying to figure out, because I might end up doing this as, well, I'm trying to think of like how I'm going to do this as far as like with the whole delta kind of thing. So, because I don't, right now I'm just saving this. Okay, well, I'm going to have to reload this anyway, so I'm going to actually paste this in here. So, loading Caitlin's ratings from the Google Sheets source CSV. Because basically once this is all done, I'm going to basically have these all string together. That way when this pre-process script runs, it does all this stuff for us. So it will do the data gathering. It's going to do sorry, I'm just trying to think. It's hard to think and talk at the same time. And that's another reason I'm kind of doing these live streams is you'd be surprised. I actually am a much more introverted person than you might think. And this is kind of helping me to grow with, you know, just being able to talk to the world more. And so I'll just be totally transparent with you. The most amount of people that I get watching these streams, maybe at one time, is like 2 or 3, and that's fine. Like, I am not upset by that. You know, if my purpose was numbers, then I'm a colossal failure, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is learning and helping you to learn, and also like helping myself with all these other ancillary skills. And also, so this is another random thing. Let me go ahead and just change this over to here. I have been thinking also, because someday I would love to create like a deep fake of myself, and obviously you need a lot of data about yourself to do that, so voice and video, probably voice just to start with. And I thought, well, how am I going to get a bunch of video voice of myself, because I don't really go talking around a bunch. So that is another reason that I'm doing these live streams, is so hopefully I'll be able to extract the data from YouTube of my own voice talking like this, and then create like a deep fake version of myself someday. So that would be funny, I think. I like to do things that, you know, obviously, you know, are entertaining for myself. I have a weird idea of what fun is, clearly. Okay, so, and I need to stop saying so much. Noted. All right, so I'm going to need to load these in. All right, so I'm going to need, so that's going to be interesting. I'm going to need to figure out a way on AWS of, because right now these are being loaded in as a static file. Well, actually, you know what? That might not be a prop. Well, okay, so again, apologies for thinking out loud here again. And I'm going to need to refactor this because it's actually going to be too up. Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to alter that for now. But basically, like, so these are stored as a static YAML file here. And so I don't really, well, I guess whenever I build my Docker container, I guess I could put the keys directory in here and then just have it referenced from there. But again, I do want to get Vault working, but I don't know how to get Vault working off the top of my head and I'll have the credentials get extracted into SageMaker. I'll have to think about that. That's more of just me kind of thinking loud for the future. So we'll just go ahead and, for now, not worry about that. Right now, I just want to get it working locally. All right, so project setup, so getting the keys and stuff. All right, so I'm gonna again create another heading here, and right now I'm just basically copying and pasting the stuff from my Jupyter notebook over in here. But what I want to do is refactor this in such a way that maybe there's like one master script that like coordinates the whole thing, and then like there's just a bunch of like helper functions inside of here. And again, it's just really hard to think, type, and present to an audience all at the same time. All right, so movie data source. All right, I'm just gonna call this. Here, let me scroll up some. Can I scroll up some? No. All right, data source number one. Not number. All right, the movies. No, I'll just call it TMDB. TMDB. Okay. So what I need to do here is scrolling down. And all right, so we need to, well, actually, I'm going to put these inside of the project setup file up here. All right, so I'm going to instantiate those objects here. And these are the features that I need here. Okay. Okie doke. And I am going to put this here, because I'm not going to have all these run sequentially per se like this. I'm going to create functions appropriately for these. All right, so TMDB features, and then I'm going to create a data frame that holds all those things. And did I change this somewhere? All right, I just want to make sure. So the ratings. All right, so I am probably going to need to refactor this later, but you know, right now, I don't know if, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste this cell here for now. And so you can see that, so we actually did this as part of a bunch of different live streams. So previously, to ensure that our data was fine, so you can see here with genre that not all movies had like a primary and secondary genre. Most of them had a primary genre, like some of them didn't have a secondary genre, and so that was just making sure that like those nulls were filled appropriately. So this is just NumPy and filling them with nans. Nans, that's a weird word to say. Nans. All right. Okay, so I think that's fine for now. Oh, did I finish running the rest of my cells? I don't know if I did or not. Yes, looks like I did. All right, so all data.csv. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like refactor this big time. So basically, like what the intention of like this stream is to like, for like or at least in preparation for the next stream, is the next stream is actually with all the data like features like engineered, is I want to actually start creating pipelines to start training models. And so if you recall, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen for now. With our Titanic data project, I just picked a random forest classifier from scikit-learn and called it a day. I didn't try any other algorithm. In a real world context, and just because I want to get this model as accurate as possible, you want to try out as many different algorithms as you can. So what I'm going to end up doing is, for at least the binary classification model, I'm going to at least try out like one like general logistic regression model, probably a random forest classifier, maybe XGBoost. A lot of my coworkers at work seem to like to use this package called CatBoost. So we're going to check out CatBoost. So that's for the binary classification piece. I'll have to look at the regression piece. I'm sure there's a number of different algorithms we could do there. And then, of course, we need to do hyperparameter tuning. So the one nice thing about my Mac Mini is, with the M1 chip in it, is that like hyperparameter tuning is super fast on this thing. Like, so prior to jumping over to this Mac Mini, I was using an late 2018 MacBook Pro, 13-inch, nothing like super fancy. And I ran a hyperparameter tuning job on it that was basically that ran It wasn't anything fancy, but it took like a minute and a half to run, which is not terrible, but it wasn't anything fancy. And I ran the same thing on this guy over here, this Mac Mini. I wish you all... Well, actually, let me go ahead and grab my camera here. Boom. Now you can see that I'm pointing at it. Hey, let me put my camera back. I probably shouldn't have messed with that live. I'm in my office here. This is where I work on a day-to-day basis. I actually call this my dad cave because obviously this is the office part over here. But if I move it over here, you can see that I've got my TV and this is my recliner right here. And so I like to play video games. So I got my Nintendo Switch over there. Hold on, right there. Well, it's not in there right now, but that's the dock for it. And then I got my PlayStation 5 over there. Anyway, so that's just a little funness about my office. I love my office. So in case you're curious, I'm using Hue light bulbs all over my office so I can change the colors of everything. But yeah, I got a little bit distracted there, so I don't remember what I was talking about. So that's what I want to basically do with the next project is once all these other things are worked out with the feature engineering, which I'll probably just do on my own. Actually, I got to take my daughter to a music class tomorrow night, so maybe that's a great time to do it. And then we'll come back and we'll start doing these other things. But for now, I didn't get that far in cleaning things up. But again, the primary intention of this live stream was actually just making sure my technology was working. So, and I think it is. In fact, give me a second. I just want to make sure, again, that LinkedIn is working okay. So, LinkedIn, are you working okay? I don't know. Oops. I'm checking out on my iPad here. All right. So view profile, and I'm still talking, but just to make sure that people can still hear me okay. And so LinkedIn, are you working okay? Yep, it is working just fine, except I do sound congested. So I'm actually going to end up calling it here because I do feel a little bit congested, and I need to save my voice because I do plan on still going into work tomorrow. But I hope you like this stream. I see some weird little bugs that I'm noticing right now with this whole Restream platform, so I'm going to work those out. And hopefully we'll get back to more of a regular cadence. Apologies that I've been away for a couple weeks. It's just been a really busy couple weeks. So, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you found it a little bit informative. I know we didn't do a whole lot of coding today, but I promise you in future live streams, we will do a ton of coding. And of course, if you follow me over on YouTube, you can watch any of the previous streams and you can see we do a lot of live coding. So, and it's a lot of fun. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop. I'm going to pop a lozenge or something. And yeah, I'm going to call it a day. I hope you all have a great remainder of your weekend.